Life.
Hi everyone, I'm Roshni, the founder of the AsianParent.com, and I have Carla and Justina here with me, who are also from the Asian Parent team, joining me today on this Google Hangout. Today's discussion is about working moms, and both Carla and Justina are actually working full-time moms. So we're going to speak to them about how they handle it all. Carla, you have a daughter. How old is she, and how long have you been a working mom for?
Yes, I have a daughter. She's 15 months old, and I've been a working mom since she was born. Neither pregnancy or motherhood kept me away from work.
Okay. And just wondering, are you working for money? Are you working for satisfaction or for both?
To be honest, both. I like the fact that I'm earning my own income and that I'm able to provide financially for my family. And I also can't imagine myself not working. I get restless, maybe because I don't like the feeling of not being part of a company or an organization. I like the idea that I'm part of something big.
And Justina, what about you? Tell us a little bit about your family as well, and how long have you been a working mom for?
Okay, my husband and I have been married for 4 years and we have a 17-month-old daughter. I basically started working after my maternity leave ended in April last year. It was an amazing 16-week break for me as I got to spend time with my baby, but it also felt good to be back at work after that.
And similar to Carla, are you working for both satisfaction and money, or and was there any outside pressure for you to actually get back into the workforce?
I'll say a little of both. I can't imagine myself not working, and I feel more comfortable knowing that I have my own money to spend and I'm able to contribute towards the family expenses. And as to whether I was pressured to work outside home, I feel that work gets done faster in the office anyway, and everything and everyone that you need is right there. And there are too many distractions at home with my daughter being the biggest of all when she's awake.
And both of you, actually, Justina and Carla, you both work as writers. So that's a sort of job that you could be doing as, working from home. Was there any reason that you decided to do full time? So Justina, I understand you just mentioned that it was because your daughter's a distraction, but what about you, Carla?
It's the same thing. When I'm around, my daughter just wants to be with me, and she likes to look at the photos on the computer. She likes to tinker around with the keyboard. So I can't focus, and she'd rather spend time with her mom. And also, personally, I'm more disciplined when I'm in a work setting. When I'm at home, I'd rather be just lounging around, hanging out. So I prefer to go to an office.
Okay, very interesting. And Carla, actually, I've got a couple of tough questions coming your way, and I want you to be
Okay.
as honest as possible with us. So, firstly, do you actually have dinner with your daughter every night?
No, unfortunately, not every night. I'm lucky enough if I catch her still awake when I get home. I usually get home around 8 p.m. That's already early for me. And around that time, she's already had her dinner and she's ready to wind down and sleep.
And would you say that you've missed a moment in your child's life that you actually regret?
Yeah, I've missed many moments, really, because of my decision to go back to work or to stay at work. I've missed a lot of milestones. One in particular, I missed the first time that she rolled over onto her belly and lifted herself up on her elbows. Her nanny, was thoughtful enough to take a video of that for me and my husband. But, I would have liked to have been there to see those to see those milestones that she has achieved. But, you know, I chose to go to work.
And would you say that since you've chosen to go to work, you've noticed something slipping through the cracks? So, and if you have, how do you actually deal with the working mom guilt?
Yeah, we as moms, we're meant to be the primary caregivers, whether dads like to accept that or not. But our babies look up to their moms. I mean, they grew in our belly for 9 months. We pushed them out, right? Um, So, but although my husband and I, we work so hard to provide for the household income, when little things like my daughter falling on her butt or scraping her knee, she goes straight to her nanny for comfort, even when I'm sitting right in front of her and her nanny is several steps away from her. In my daughter's eyes, her nanny is her primary caregiver, and that hurts. But when I experience that working mom guilt, I don't bottle up the bad feelings. I tell my husband about my guilt because I know he'll give me that ego boost that will in a way assuage the guilt. Oftentimes, working mothers, they just need reassurance and appreciation for their effort. When the working mom guilt hits, I try to remember that for me, working gives me happiness and makes me feel whole. If I didn't feel whole, it would affect the way I regard myself, and it would lower my self-esteem, and the low self-esteem would eventually affect my daughter.
So just to touch on a point that you mentioned that there were points where your daughter would turn to your nanny instead of yourself. Talk us through that. I mean, when did you first start noticing that was happening? Was that right from the beginning, and how did it feel as a mom?
Yeah, I first noticed that when she was almost 1 year old, when she could stand up and walk around, and with that, with walking around comes the stumbles and the falling, and that's when I noticed it. I'd be in the same room with her and her nanny, and when she'd stumble, she'd look up, she'd look at me, and I'll have my hands out, outstretched toward her, but then she'll look behind her and look for her nanny and go straight to her nanny, and it really it hurts because I'm supposed to be the one that she turns to. I'm her mother, right? But how I deal with it is I'm just lucky. I tell myself that I'm lucky that I have a nanny that I can trust, that when I leave home and leave her with a nanny, I know that the nanny will take great care of her. She loves her nanny. Her nanny loves her. So it gives me peace of mind that when I'm not there, there's someone like a second caregiver there for her. Um, I just try to think about the positive things. How working, like I said, how working makes me feel good about myself, because when I feel good, then I have more to give to my family, especially to my daughter. So that's what I focus on when things like that happen.
Right. And so ultimately, do you feel like you've made the right choice for your family?
I mean, to be honest, I was selfish in a way that I never thought about whether staying in work was the right choice. I did it because I wanted to for my personal satisfaction, and I needed to for the income. Um, the real issue for me was trying to compromise what I wanted to do with what people told me I should do, which was to stay home and take care of my daughter. But I feel I made the right choice because I'm happy. And I like to believe that my happiness has transferred to my daughter because, she's a jolly kid. She's very upbeat, friendly, and she's a delight to have around. So I think because I'm happy, then my daughter's happy.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. So over to you, Tina. Do you sometimes wish that you could have been a stay-at-home mom?
I've thought of the possibility of being a stay-at-home mom before, but that thought did not last long. As I mentioned before, I don't think I can stand not working, and with the high cost of living in Singapore, it's almost impossible for families to survive on a single income.
And so would you say that joining the workforce has actually been the right choice for your family?
For my case, I think yes, it's been a right choice because going to work not only helps me to provide for the family, it also keeps me sane and opens my eyes to things that are happening outside of home. There's so many new things to learn every day, things that I can pass on and share with my daughter when she's old enough to understand. And it also helps that I have an amazing boss who gives me the flexibility to work from home if there's a need. Example, when my child is sick.
So basically, would you say that you think if more employers would offer moms flexible, working schedules, it would actually improve productivity and overall happiness and make the transition easier for moms to get back into the workforce?
Yes, I think it definitely helped because a lot of moms I know, they are actually keen on taking on like flexible work arrangement or even part-time, but the sad thing is not all employers are open to that idea yet over this part of the world. So maybe this could be something to work towards in the future.
And have you, sorry, so who's your primary caregiver for your child when you're not at home?
So right now the primary caregivers for my child will be my parents and in-laws, and it's so far working quite okay.
And would you say you've experienced something similar to what Carla has experienced, where your child turns to your parents or your in-laws instead of you for certain milestones or incidents?
Um, it was actually something that I was worried that would happen, but surprisingly, and I think I'm lucky enough that it didn't, because at the end of the day, even though she's been taken care of by them during the day when I'm at work, once I'm home, she'll be like excited and running towards me. And after that, it'll be just her focus will be solely on me and my husband. And it's like she's forgotten about them completely.
Right. And so before we actually open it up to the group chat to ask us some questions, I just want to ask you one final question. Would you have any advice for working moms, especially for new moms who are entering in the workforce after giving birth? How would you help them to make the transition easier after their maternity leave?
Um, I think moms don't need to feel guilty about going back to work, especially if it's something that they need to do. Maybe they could think about it this way: by going back to work, you'll be able to better provide for the family and give your kids a better life. And to make up the lost time with your kids while you're at work, maybe just ensure that you switch off from work once you're home and spend time with the kids. And if you really need to take work home, do it after the kids have gone to bed, because it's near to impossible to focus on work at the and kids at the same time at home.
Yes,
That's,
I
that's
agree.
very good advice. Sorry, Carla.
Sorry, yeah, no, I just wanted to say that I agree. When you're home, be home. Spend quality time with the kid. And aside from that, a good support system is very important, and that starts with your husband, especially. He must be on board with the decision to work or with your decision to work. Um, from my experience, many times the working mother's guilt doesn't come internally, but from other people who question that decision. So it's very important that your husband, your employer, they understand that you have special needs, especially when it comes to your child. And like Justina said, you should have a cutoff time for work. So when you leave the office and then you arrive home, like I said, you should be home and spend that time with your child. And it's a good tip that Justina provided, wait, if you must work at home, wait until the children are asleep, definitely.
So we've got a couple of questions here from some of our readers. So one of their questions are, it's easier said than done. Sometimes employers are not understanding and they expect you to work 24 hours on the go, especially since we are all connected to work through our computer and our email. How would you suggest talking to your employer about balancing work life and having an opportunity to make sure that everything goes on smoothly both at home and at work?
Okay. Well, definitely, it's true. It's easier said than done to say, talk to your employer, have your employer understand your situation. But really, that's the first step. To assess your situation at home, um, and to have your employer not just understand, but to know exactly why you would need to stay home or why you would need to take the day off, because you go to the doctor, it takes time. Your daughter doesn't like to be with anyone else when she goes to the doctor. It's really um, explaining in detail why they have to understand your special situation. And second thing, I think it's also about training, I guess, or disciplining your own employer, getting them to be on board with your situation, because it's not just about them and their needs. It's also, the needs of their employees, right? I mean, they for an employee to be productive, they have to understand that they have certain needs. So yeah, it's also up to you to learn how to train your own boss.
Justina, do you have anything to add to that about training your own boss?
Um, I guess you just need to talk things through with your boss, like explain exactly what the situation is and maybe offer an alternative. Let's say, okay, you can't be there at this specific time to attend to this thing, but say perhaps you could do it at a later date but still get it done on time. So it's mostly on negotiating on arrangement that's good for both parties.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, as long as you deliver, it's all about the deliverables, right? So as long as you deliver what's expected of you, there shouldn't be an issue.
Yep.
Well, thank you girls for joining me today and on this hangout about working moms. For the rest of you, if you have any questions, do feel free to email us or join us on our Facebook fan page and ask us the questions there. And either Justina or Carla will be very happy to respond back to you guys personally. Thank you and see you all again soon. Bye.